Today I'm going to share with you guys a love story between me and my Bali dog, Rumi. This little guy, this little ball of fur. Oh, I love him so much. And the story of how he came into my life is a little bit unconventional because things don't really work the same as they do in like Canada, Australia, New Zealand, here in Bali. Dog culture is a little different. I'm gonna get into that. But first, I feel like we should probably do some cool like montage intro. So yeah, let's do that. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm really excited to regale this story with you all. I thought it was only fitting for Rumi to be here with me because, in case I like mess anything up or, he wants to add in his perspective of the story. So he's here with me, just chilling. We were just at the beach. I tired him out so that he would chill out for the whole story. But yeah, guys, so before I dive into it, I want to nail down a couple things. One, Rumi's full name is actually Rumi Raisin Cornelius Dumbledore. Two, an integral part of the story is Rumi's human mom, Holly, my ex-partner. And when we were together, we got Rumi. So she's Rumi's human mom and she's an integral part of the story. So I'll refer to her as like Holly or Halls or Pips or I don't know. We'll see. And thirdly, I just want to touch on that like dog culture is really different here in Bali. Like you don't go to the dog store or what is it, like the breeder and get your like Doberman, Schnitzel, or Hergadurg. I don't really know dog names, but you don't get the breed. You just there's just dogs everywhere here. To be honest, like it's a bit of a problem. Like the locals aren't really very educated on desexing and spaying and neutering the animals. So they overpopulate like crazy. And there's a lot of animals here that need love. If you just go on the street, there's dogs everywhere. It's not uncommon to like find puppies and have a moral obligation to be like, oh, I need to help them or else they'll just die because they're on the street. And Rumi is not so much different than that. So yeah, that's why I'm telling this story. Because if I was just in France and I went to get a dog, it probably wouldn't be a very exciting story, but this is. So with that being said, wait, before I get into it, I'm just going to make some tea because I'm thirsty. One sec. I know you're probably thinking like lime and maple syrup hardly constitutes tea, but it's all I had. I was going for mint, but I didn't have any. So let's get into it. So let's go back 2 years, 2019, April 11th, Rumi was born, we're assuming. And Rumi came into my and Holly's life around June, I think, when he was about 2 months old. And so here's what happened. Halls and I were getting a wardrobe built for our first villa here in Bali. And it was on this busy road at the top of Canggu here, really busy, cars. So beside the furniture shop, Holly noticed this little shanty shack and there was these two dogs living in this tiny little cage, these two little puppies and a mom, kind of golden retriever-y looking dog. And there was no owners around. They were just in the cage and no one seemed to live there. And so after we came back another day and saw that, we came back that evening and just gave them a bunch of food from this local vegan warung. And we're kind of just opened them up and gave them some food. And that was our first meeting. That was the first time I ever gave you some yummy foods. How about that? And eventually the owners came back and they were like, they just like left for some Balinese or a Muslim holiday for like 3 days and just left the dogs in the cage and clearly like weren't super caring. Rumi had a big gash on his head at the time and had a limp because we think he'd been hit by a motorbike. And so we talked to the owners and we just kind of like sussed out the situation a little bit. And apparently they were keeping the puppies in the cage because the mom had had 2 litters before them, all of which were hit by traffic and died. And Rumi's brothers and sisters that were probably in the same litter as them met the same fate. So the owners were like, oh, we're being kind and keeping them in a cage. We were kind of like, it's not really very good. And we really felt called, especially Holly, because Holly is just immensely compassionate. But together we felt really called to help them out. So the next day or a few days later or something, I called up this like traveling vet guy, Dr. Patu. So essentially instead of taking them to a vet, this guy comes out to them and I got them, what are they called? Different vaccinations and like deworming and this and that, and just overall sussed out their health. So that was good. But then after going back to get our wardrobe and like talk to the people about specifications a couple times, mostly Holly was incredibly compassionate, but eventually I kind of like caved into and we were like, okay, we have to do something to help these puppies. Like they're there and we just need to help them live a good life. We felt like we'd like committed. So we took the two puppies. We wanted to take the mom too, but apparently she's like a fancy-ish breed and was the guard dog, which might explain why Rumi's so like crazy territorial sometimes. But yeah, so we took the two puppies and it was Project Rehome. That was the intention. Clearly we know that did not result as such because Rumi's here, but the intention was to rehome them. So we brought them back and it was so beautiful to see them play on grass for the first time. Like they really lived in a sketchy place for their entirety of their life. Well, only 2 months at that point, but like they played with grass, and then I took them out to cafes that evening to try and rehome them. I remember walking around like with one in each arm, kind of like this. My arms were going a little numb, and I was just walking around like kind of like showing them off to people in like cafes that expats go to. Like, hey, you want a puppy? Hey, psh, psh, want a puppy? And but before that, we took them to the beach. We made a little sign. To try and get them adopted at the beach, and there was no biters. Although it's really crazy, like there was this one family that was kind of interested in Rumi, and he literally could have been gone like that. But the dad asked the daughter, "Hey, do you like this puppy? Like, do you want it?" And she was kind of like, "Nah." And to be fair, Rumi was pretty scrappy looking when he was younger. He had the gash on his head. He had a limp. His skirt was, not as bad as a lot of Bali dogs, to be fair. But I kind of thought it might be hard to rehome him. And anyways, so that night walking around, I was equipped with both dogs, and I managed to rehome his sister, the more like golden retriever looking one, with a local girl and a local girl that worked in a cafe here. So we were like, sweet, that's good. But Rumi didn't have the same luck. And so Rumi, who was unnamed at the time, ended up living with us for like, I want to say a week or two. And this is when things got a bit heavy because, guys, I would have been, I don't know, like 26 years old at the time, and I've never had a dog, let alone a puppy. And in that time, Rumi and I just had a chance to really bond, Like, he used to sleep on my chest, and we would cuddle, and we would get cozy, and I'd take him to the beach, and he was a little bit of a shit, but I just loved him so much, and I didn't realize what was happening, but things were happening. Okay, so about 2 weeks into having Rumi, who was still nameless, Halls and I were at this cafe and we met a wonderful woman named Katie, who's still a good friend today. And she just got back to Bali, actually. And Katie was like, yes, I will adopt this little puppy. He is beautiful. I love him. And we were like, sweet, this is what we want, right? And so we went home that day and started the preparations for like rehoming Rumi. And I just started feeling like so sad. And we hadn't even given him away yet. And I remember I just cried. I just cried for hours. I was so sad because this little guy that I'd bonded with so much, like we were proper homies at that point. And I was going to give him away. And I was like, what am I doing? But, it made sense because Halls and I were always like, we can't have a dog. We're travelers. We're always up and moving around the world. It's part of our lifestyle and our career. And it just, we can't have that commitment. So it was really ingrained, like we can't have a dog. But at the same time, my heart was saying, but Aaron, you need this dog in your life. And anyways, I cried. And we took Rumi over to Katie's place with his few possessions, his like maybe a flip-flop, his little box and a towel, his little homey touches. And driving home, I remember we dropped him off, hung out there for a bit, gave her a spiel. And then I remember just crying the whole way home. And then I just cried. I just cried so much. And it was really emotional because I'd never been so connected with an animal before. And so a very exciting thing happened that night. I was like, damn, like I was chatting with Holly about it. And I was like, I really want to have Rumi. And so I had to make a tough decision because, whenever you want something really bad in your life, it's always good to practice patience. It's like, I will wait. for a week. I'll wait for a couple days to see if this crazy impulse dies down, and then I can be a little more collected. We all had those crazy impulses, but I was like, I can't wait for a week and then ask for my puppy back, because it's not my puppy anymore. It's going to be her puppy, you know, and she's going to be bonded and she's going to say no. And so I was like, it was a very, I don't know if I voice noted her or I called her, but it was a very uncomfortable and yet natural thing to do because it felt right. But I called her and I was like, yo, Katie, I want my puppy back. I want him back. And Katie, if you're watching this, thank you. Thank you for being so compassionate with me. Katie was sweet. She was like, yeah, I'll give him back. Like, you guys are homies, you're tight. So the next day we met up, I got him back and I felt better. Although Holly always likes to remind me of this part in the story that I tend to forget, which is when, for some reason, when we first had him, he was just so sweet all the time. But when we got him back from Katie, he's just like, I'm going to show off how I can be a little shit now. And I was like, oh, and I think I kind of blocked this out, but I think I even messaged Katie and was like, are you sure you don't want him again? And she was kind of like, Aaron, you're confused. And I was like, I know I'm confused. I was very indecisive at that time in my life, and bless you, past Aaron. But anyways, okay, so then we had Rumi. All right, what's the next part of the story? I took notes in case I forgot. I mean, I was there, so I shouldn't forget, but I don't want to miss any parts of the story. And then, no, guys, that's pretty much the main aspect of the story. And then he was in my life, and that was just about 2 years ago now. And it's just been beautiful ever since. He stopped being a little shit. He's grown up to be this beautiful full dog. But as a puppy, he used to do so much cute stuff. Like, sometimes we'd be in the pool and he wouldn't be swimming, but he'd be above the water, just kind of like as if he was swimming. Or I remember him like finishing my smoothies. Rumi was there when I did my first muscle up. Rumi, I did it. He used to lay on the desk when I was doing work, and just so many beautiful memories. I feel like I have clips for a lot of this. What else do I have clips for? I remember first playing music for him. Or when he used to look at himself in the mirror and think it was another dog and bark, and I love it. I love it. Yeah. And to be fair though, while he's my best bud, he is a little bit crazy sometimes. He does have a thing where he likes to chase scooters occasionally. I think because he got hit and he has a bit of trauma. Although we literally drive on a scooter together, and I don't think he realizes, like, I'm like, yo, Rumi, you are this thing right now. Anyways, yeah, guys, that's basically the story of how I got my dog, Rumi. I missed the part where he was in the hospital and had this disease and almost died, and we visited him like 5 times a day and used to like just like preach Abraham Hicks to him, like, yo, Rumi, just stop disconnecting yourself from the natural source of well-being. You are naturally healthy. We would go off, and I feel like he wouldn't be here if it wasn't for our constant mental support. Rue? We really helped you out there. And now, you know, sometimes I have a rough day and he helps me out. So like, we're homies like that. But yeah, that's the story. I just want to like throw in there Peach, who's my cat, who's also an integral part of the family. I only have Peach because of Rumi. My old villa a year ago, I just heard the sound of Rumi attacking this cat out front of my house, and I ran out there, and there's this tiny little thing that Rumi was throwing around, and I was like, don't do that. So anyways, I took her to the vet and basically just took her in, and then her and Rumi became best friends, and they're like lifelong homies now. I think she kind of just thinks she's a dog because they play rough. It's pretty crazy. So that's beautiful. I feel like I'm Rumi's best friend, but Peach is also his best friend. And yeah, guys, here we are. You know, something that I think is really funny is that I was so adamant about not wanting to have a dog and just not having space for a dog in my life, like so adamant. And yet Rumi's one of the best things that's ever happened in my life. He's helped me stay so grounded and happy, and he's just my best bud. Like, I love him to bits. We do everything together. We go to the beach together. He waits on the beach for me when I'm surfing. I'm actually teaching him how to surf with me. We've climbed volcanoes together. Whenever I go on a trip around Bali to some homestay in Ubud or Uluwatu or here and there, I can just take him and he does his thing and he freaking thrives. He gets a little bit crazy around monkeys. I kind of need to work on him with that one. Dogs and monkeys just don't really mix. I feel quite lucky because there's this kind of like unspoken agreement that I just kind of tend to usually have Rumi, despite the fact that he's also Holly's dog as well. So thank you, Holly. I appreciate it. I love him. but I know you do too. You can have him soon. Yeah, whenever you're watching this, you can have him soon, okay? And you know what's cool too is like, you know, someday in the next 3, 4, 5, 6 years, I'll probably have children, and like my children are gonna get to know Rumi. And I have this, I have this running joke with myself that I think is so funny, where I say like, you know, one day, you know, Rumi's 2 now, he's gonna live another 15 years. One day in a couple decades, Rumi's not gonna be with us anymore. He's gonna pass on, and that's okay. And my kids, I feel like my kids are gonna joke that like, you know, one of us is the favorite now, because until then, Rumi's gonna be my favorite. Anyways, guys, thank you for watching. I hope you liked this story. Feel free to leave a comment, leave a thing you liked, a thing you didn't like, ask me a question, like and subscribe if you want to see more, or just like subscribe anyways. Why not? And yeah, guys, see you soon.